it is a super fight. There's no qualms about it. It's a super fight between Uriah and Frankie. I think Frankie's had the better form of late, especially his destruction of cups. It was super impressive. I was there. And the pace he kept up for 5 rounds was incredible. I think Uriah can match that pace. I think Uriah has more power on the feet. But I'm leaning towards Frankie just because of recent form. But I want Uriah to win. So it's like, it's crazy for me. I think Uriah has the more slick submissions, the more he can pick it out from someone. Frankie has the more dominance in the decision or the pace. I think the pace might be a key factor. I'm going to go for Frankie. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go for Frankie. I think he'll win a decision. I don't think he can stop Uriah. Uriah's too tough. But I think it's going to be one kind of fight.
This week, I'm not sure if you saw it back in the States, but Sports Illustrated named Ronda Rousey as the most dominant athlete in the world. What do you think? Is that a fair assessment?
I think when you use the phrase most dominant athlete in the world, you have to look at the competition that she's facing. She is by far the most dominant fighter in the UFC, but the competition she's facing is nowhere near as tough as some of the other weight classes or groups they're facing. So, it's a hard one. It's a tough one. She is the most dominant athlete in the UFC, but there's no one like Ronda Rousey. There's no one like her. There's no one. She needs that rivalry. We need to see. Not that I'd love to see Ronda Rousey get beat. I don't mean it like that, but I'd love to see someone rise to the occasion and her have like a trilogy. Someone to make her. She needs a villain to really take her to that level. In my opinion, I don't know who I would consider the most dominant athlete in sports. I mean, it's such an amazing title. So I can't think of a rival that could take it off of Ronda. So yeah, I think she deserves it.
Next week, Anthony Johnson, Daniel Cormier, UFC light heavyweight title. But is that the true champion? Is the winner of that fight really the champion, or do they have to beat John Jones before they can claim that?
If you have the belt, you're the champion. You know what I mean? John Jones has not been the smartest man in the world. I'm not going to say much more about it, but and he's lost his title, and he deserved to lose his title 100%. So I think if Rumble wins, it's a lot more of an interesting situation. You can really say Rumble is the champion because he's not faced John Jones. If Cormier wins, it might be a bit like, well, he's not the real champ. He's only champ because Jones is in there. But Rumble, if he wins that title and he beats DC, he deserves to be known as the champion. He deserves to carry the belt with pride, and it will make one hell of a fight if John Jones ever makes it back from the situation he's in. There'll be great build-up, and it's going to be an exciting fight. I'm more interested in the Weidman fight, the Vitor Weidman fight myself, but I think that event is stacked from top to bottom.
Pacquiao Mayweather sounds like he did 4.4 million pay-per-view buys. I'm not sure if we have a fight in the UFC that could do 4.4, but what's the biggest fight you think you could put together right now? If you were playing matchmaker, trying to get the biggest pay-per-view buys, what would you put together?
Well, it would have been John Jones, but with his situation, I think it's bringing GSP back. I think GSP is the biggest marquee name that the UFC has ever had, really. And they've lost some big stars, with the Anderson situation, the John Jones situation. GSP is the only guy who's really stood out there. And I think matching him up with someone, I can't think of a name that you could match him with to make those sort of draws. It's tough. Ronda's going to be your best bet to make pay-per-view buys now. She's so popular, in the limelight, in the movies. I think her versus Cyborg could do good numbers. And I think, there's a lot of big fights out there, but I think GSP Weidman is probably going to be the biggest one we have right now.
Speaking of big fights, what's your pick for the McGregor-Aldo fight? How do you think it's going to play out?
The closer up we get, the more I believe Conor's going to win. When this fight was announced, I was like, Conor can never beat him. He's now ranked pound for pound best fighter in the world with John Jones leaving, Jose Aldo. But the closer I look at it, the more I see Conor, the way he works his magic with people and gets under people's skin. I'm starting to slightly believe that it can happen. I still think Aldo's going to win, but I'm starting to believe it. So, by the time the fight actually rolls around, I think we've got 8 weeks, 9 weeks, still quite a while. Then maybe he could take it. But I still think Aldo's going to win. I think it's going to be a tough fight for him, but I think he'll come out on top.
Thanks, Luke.